welcome back to Uncle Fezzi's Mad Lab. Well, it's been about almost 2 months now since I got my Carbon X1 printer here, and I thought it would be a great time to once again revisit, well, what have I been up to? Because I am kind of a little bit manic. Obviously, I've spent the last 2 months manically printing every possible thing that I could come up with that wasn't total shit, right? I've been trying very hard to print usable items. And one of the things that I came across that I really kind of wanted to print were push sticks for my table saw. So I've been using, let me preface this with, I'm terrified of cutting my finger off on a table saw. I went so far as to buy a saw stop, so if I did get my finger stuck in it, I wouldn't cut my finger off. But I don't even want to get my finger close enough to trip the saw stop. And it's cheaper to buy push sticks than it is to replace the blade assembly on a saw stop that had discharged. So I have this push stick here, which is really cool. I got this at, it has to have been Woodcraft. This thing's really neat because it has a remove. I'm not going to take it out, but it has a removable rubber base to it, and it's got this little spring-loaded dooflicky here on the bottom, which I actually have caught with the saw a few times, and this is one of the things that I want to rebuild or I want to build. But I figured, this is an excellent opportunity to do multiple things. One is to try to replicate this. Now, I can't actually replicate this particular one because it's bigger than my build plate. So I figured, what the hell, I'll make one that's a little bit smaller. Well, this has turned into quite the adventure. So let's take a look at what I built. Well, actually, since I have the camera at this angle, I'm going to pull the latest one out of the printer here. Oh, came right off the build plate, which is exactly kind of what you want. So this is version 3 of the push stick. So this is these are my this is a sacrificial push stick made out of plywood, and I probably will still be making these. Just cut them out on the bandsaw, hole saw, for zap, pretty easy to do. But I kind of wanted to print one to see how it would go. This is actually the sacrificial part of this one. This is going to get reprinted in TPU, and we're going to show. I'm going to show some TPU in a second. But one of the things I wanted to really talk about real quick before I change camera angles and show my other push stick is, and why this particular project, for some reason, turned into a bigger fiasco than Miss Daisy's cup holder. When I did the original design, so this is my very first prototype, it failed on the build plate. So it's kind of hard to see, but it buckled on the build plate because I printed it this way. Also, it had some kind of, I don't know what the hell that is. Actually, I do know what that is. That is an artifact that was in the design that I didn't see. So the printer slicer software is actually better than the Tinkercad software that I'm using. It picks up things that you can't necessarily discern in Tinkercad. And what this is something that this was an artifact in the design that that's how it manifested itself. But that also did that because of the way it was laying on the build plate. This is, so I changed the orientation. I'm learning, right? So I changed the orientation of the print so it would print like this. Well, this was the first one. that popped off the build plate. This is the second one that popped off the build plate. This is the third one that this blue material, for whatever reason, decided that it didn't want to feed into the printer. And I literally sat here, was watching it, and it didn't dawn on me that, 3 hours into the print, it hadn't moved any. Well, that's because for whatever reason, it stopped feeding the material into the machine. And then there was this one that I printed it in the wrong material, and let's see here, and that's about it for flat out failures. This one was really pissed me off because I set this up before I went to bed, and I woke up the next morning and this is what I woke up to. Now, thankfully, this is what I paid $500 for. It got about that far, realized that it had made a mistake and shut off. Otherwise, this would have been the entire build laying on the plate the next morning as just a giant pile of fucked up spaghetti. So I'm not exactly sure why it didn't want to stick to the build plate. There was actually multiple failures here. This is another one. This was a first layer failure using the blue. I don't particularly care for that color. I've talked about it in the Miss Daisy video. So I'm using it as a just to build stuff that I don't really care what it looks like. It's PLA. It's the proper material. Now let's talk about materials here for a second. Or a minute, or 5 minutes, or 10 minutes, who knows, right? This is the fourth take on this, so you have to excuse me if I'm a little bit shitty about it. I had so much wind noise in my first 3 takes that they were completely unusable, so I had to redo them. Okay, so materials. I am by no means an expert in 3D printing. I'm not even remotely. I don't know shit about it. All I know is that it's plastic. So I've used multiple different materials for these projects. This project in particular, the push stick project, there's actually 3 materials if you want to count the spring here. So this is what is going to be the final version of the push stick that I'm going to print for right now until I run this thing through the saw or drop it or break it or whatever. I'm going to leave it this way. So the biggest issue with this is this lip here, which is not supposed to be there. It's supposed to be smooth like this one. That's the biggest issue. There's a couple other issues. The print quality isn't that great. You see a lot of layer lines. I didn't print this in fine. I printed this in strength or standard, I forget. And as you can, from my earlier part of the video where there's a big pile of nasty screwed up material, I'm done printing these. I just kind of got a little bit frustrated with it and decided that I'm done with it. But that's fine. So this has a smushy base. Now this is, oh no, I need that. That's amazing, right? That is absolutely amazing. Oh, you gotta get down there. Ah, there it is. All right, so how are you gonna come back? All right. Oh, Ralphie doesn't like it out here anymore. He's afraid I'm gonna start trying to vacuum him or something. So these are PLA. This is PLA. This is PLA. This is PLA. This is I literally just put this together. This is a seam ripper. The thing's probably as old as I am. But it still works, and it just had a little tiny crappy handle on it I didn't like, so I made a new handle for it. This is exactly why I got a 3D printer. So this is PLA, this is PLA, this is PLA. Now these are, oh man, dude, you got to make up your mind. These are what's called TPU, which is a soft, flexible plastic. This actually, I was not expecting these to come out nearly as nice as they did. Not even remotely. My expectations for this product were incredibly low, even though it was pretty expensive. So this one was the first one that I printed. I printed this in standard print, and this came out great. This is the top surface. That's the bottom surface. This is flash that will come off. I printed a brim around it because so many of these had slipped off the build plate. I started to get a little leery, so I've been putting brims on a lot of things. These just so happen to be a pain in the ass to get off. This is a relatively intricate print, and it came out real nice. This one I printed in strength. It did not come out nearly as nice. You can see there's a lot of layer lines in it. I don't really care. I don't really care for this particular project because this is literally something that's going to get cut up. So I'm not too worried about it. Now, I ordered this product here is TPU also, but this is TPU for the AMS, and it's from Bambu Labs. This stuff, whilst really flexible, is nowhere near as flexible as this. This is also slicker. This has got a little bit of a rubbery feel to it. Nothing like this, though. This is real rubber. So that's, I should move that out of the way, huh? So that's just the way that turned out. These pieces fit together. They're supposed to, and shockingly they do. Let's see here. This is the first prototype that I did that came out okay. Now, one of the cool things about this project is this is multiple pieces. And let's assemble this one. So this actually doesn't fit this. This one is to fit the orange one. So I made this piece, which slides in here like that. It only goes one way. Of course, I put it in the wrong way on the video here. There we go. And then that goes, this has a spring that goes in there. Now, my joints are a little sloppy. My joints are not waist tight, but my rhymes will floor you. If you want a long one, baby, I got one for you. But yeah, my joints are a little sloppy. And part of that is inexperience with the metric system, the tool of the devil, and just inexperience with the machine, with the programs. But that is doing exactly what I wanted to do. This is spring, I wanted that spring loaded, and these fit perfectly if you put them in the right way. And this is the second iteration. This is the second generation of push stick, right? You can see the differences. You can see the differences pretty plainly and clearly. All right, now this is the third iteration, which is just a thin, piece. Now I didn't let's see here. Use your very expensive Swiss marking knife to remove support material. Oh, Ralph, I got a pointy thing in my hands, and you want to move around. All right. So at the end of the day, and I haven't printed it yet, what I'm going to do is, I screwed that up. Oh well, it's getting chopped up anyway. That piece from very early on in the video is going to get printed out of this material and stuck in this hole here to act as the pusher. Now, we'll see how that goes. Now, I printed a bunch of other stuff and other materials. I know I said I didn't want to print tchotchkes, and, not for nothing, tchotchke here and there is not going to break the bank. Why would I be able to find that immediately? There it is. Printing tchotchkes is not going to break the bank. I downloaded this off of Makerverse, whatever, Bambu Labs Studio, Maker Studio. I printed this out of PLA. It's PLA white. It's a little dirty now because it's been sitting in the shop. My wife's girlfriend is a crazy cat lady, and I actually kind of like this sculpture. This is not the one that I gave her. I printed the one I gave her in, like they call it marble, which is basically just a white with little black specks in it. It hides the layer lines. This particular piece here has some pretty significant layer lines right here at the bottom. This was also where there was some support, and at the top of her head. Now, if I went into the slicer, I could probably get rid of some of those. Quite frankly, I didn't feel like it, mainly because this was like a 12-hour print. Now, that's just going to sit on the shelf until I get bored with it and throw it away. Now, this is PLA, and this is an interesting study too. I made this from scratch in Tinkercad. I wanted to learn how to make a threaded cap and bottles and things. So I went into Tinkercad, I followed the directions, and this is what I came up with. I'm not super crazy about this because it's too thick this way. It's almost 5 millimeters thick. It doesn't need to be anywhere near that thick for what I wanted it for. What did I want it for? Well, I wanted it for this. Now this is printed out of PETG, P-E-T-G, which is supposed to be stronger than PLA, but depending on which internet nerd you listen to, it's not. I give up, right? But this is a holder for the refills for my self-inflating PFD. I have a horse collar that I'm afraid to drown. I'm afraid to cut my fingers off. So whenever I go on a boat, short of something that's, less than 50 foot, I wear a horse collar. As a matter of fact, even on a bigger boat, if it's like a sport fisher, I'll put a horse collar on just in case I go overboard, because I'm usually the guy that does something stupid. There's an inconsistency in this, or there's an inconsistency in this. A little from column A, a little from column B. It fits about 3/4 of the way in fine, and then you got to really give it the last little oomph to get it in the hole. Why did I make this? Well, I made it because these things come carded. They come on a fairly large card, probably a 5x7 5x7 hanging card, and not for nothing, I like to keep this with my boat. I like to keep the spare charge with my boat bag. And I thought this would be pretty cool, right? So I printed that out. Every solution has a 3D printing solution. This is also printed in PETG, and this is a hose hanger or an extension cord hanger. Now, again, this is the curse of the metric system. I don't know what the hell I'm going to use this thing for, but it came out really nice. It printed very nice, no support. Printed right out, and it's about 1/4 the size that I need it to be. So this is 6 inches. I want to print it about 10 inches. I just haven't scaled it up. I don't know. I guess I have a short extension cord I can use this for. Now, the other product that I printed with is ASA. Now, ASA is supposed to be weather resistant, and it's supposed to be even stronger than ABS. Now, I have printed with ABS also, but the ASA prints failed spectacularly. So they keep popping off the build plate. Now this is a shelf bracket, which I'm going to show later in the video. This failed. This was like a 14-hour print, and it failed about halfway through. It popped off the build plate. You can see where it just got super duper ugly and then finally just flew off. This one did the same thing, except it did it a lot faster. And this one never even got beyond the first layer, because if you can't probably see it on the video because it's two-dimensional, but this thing came right off. Now this was a combination of a piss poor design for my part and a materials issue and an inexperience with materials. I looked it up later, and apparently ASA, even though it's Bambu Labs ASA designed specifically for this printer, and it didn't work all that great. That is what it is, right, kids? This is all practice. This is all new stuff for me. I actually just got a new load of printer filament in. So we're going to be doing some, I want to try to do some lithography with it. All right, so now we're going to look at my Tinkercad programs. Okay, so this is a little bit of a final act of frustration here. I've been playing with this video for pretty much all day, and it's worn me out. But I really kind of wanted to show this. I kind of really wanted to get a video out, so oh well. Yeah. So you're gonna have to bear with me and this this little janky setup I got here, trying to record my video, or trying to record the screen on my computer. I understand that there's a way to actually record off of the computer screen, and not for nothing, I don't feel like learning how to do it today. I've taught myself enough. So this is Tinkercad. This is the program that I use to make the push sticks, and each one of these little pieces here is an individual part of the push stick, right? So the biggest piece here, the biggest piece here is the push stick itself. Now I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm going to show right now what actually it takes to make this. All right, so we're going to hide this. This is a new feature it's a feature that I just found out about. So you can hide these things. I'm going to put that there. So I'm going to ungroup this. So it's 13 different shapes that make up that push stick. All right, I hate it when people go too fast, so I'm just gonna kind of go a little bit slower. Now, what I really like to do is make this edge fillet, make this edge round, but I haven't quite been able to figure out how to do that. I know there's a way that I could probably do it, but I'm a little wore out. So that's the Tinkercad design for the push stick. And then if you just group everything back together, then it becomes the push stick again. So Tinkercad is a browser-based program, so it's only as fast as your connection. This is also another good example. So we can ungroup this. So this is actually more than just, this just shows 2 parts. It's actually about 6 parts. Let's see if it do it again. Yeah, so there's 3 different parts to this. I want to group that back together. I want to actually save this program. I want to save this design so I could reprint it at any time without having to futz with it. You can actually see the layer. You can actually see the joints here. You're not supposed to be able to see them, but I don't know what I did wrong. I do know what I did wrong. Somehow or another, I got this is not level. Or this is not square. No, it is what it is. And what it is a push stick. Now the other thing that I just did, and I just showed earlier, was the seam ripper handle here, right? It only took me about 10 minutes to do this. So this is the seam ripper handle, and then this is also, this is actually 5 parts. To cut something off on here, you have to use this hole. This is a hole. And then there's a hole in the bottom here too. There's a hole here. It's pretty neat. I just learned also that you can make things transparent, right? Which, to click the transparent thing and it becomes transparent. And there you go. You can see the hole on the inside, which is the coolest thing ever for me. I'm a slow learner. What can I say? Oh, and just a little B-roll, or it's not even really B-roll. I just wanted to show something else that I built that I'm really kind of proud of. Is this? I re-envisioned my toolbox here, right? So let's do that. So what I did was, this is a pretty big Snap-on toolbox, right? And I've been using it as a workbench for years. But the problem with the workbench is it's too tall. I can stand at it, no problem, but I couldn't sit at it. So what I did was what's that? I built this box here, and now that's my workbench, right? Or I can sit here and work in my, upgraded stool, right? And I can put my computer here. Oh, and there's that's the bracket, and then that's the shelf I built to hold my my MacBook Pro. That's the new shop computer. My old shop computer is over there, but that's Windows 10, and it's short for this world. I'm not going to take it down just yet, but it's not gonna. I'm going to disconnect it from the internet. I don't need it for the internet. I don't really need it for anything other than there it is. So I can sit here with my computer, either one of them. Actually, this is my old MacBook Pro 13-inch, and then I have the Mac Daddy that I just bought, which is this is a 16-inch MacBook Pro, the Hoopty Quad. I don't know, it was god awful fucking expensive. It shouldn't even be out here, but I want to edit this video on it. No, thanks for watching. I know it's an overly long video. Everybody bitches my videos are too long because I talk too much. Tough titties. Well, there you go. Why do you like to defy gravity, huh? So I know this is the part of the video where I'm supposed to beg for likes and beg for clicks and beg for subscribers and beg for you to pay for my Patreon and beggity beg. Fuck that. I'm not doing that. Thanks for watching. I'll put up some more crap later.